Divine Soul Tribe, back again with a message and quite possibly a reading. Welcome YouTube, welcome returning viewers, welcome new viewers. Thank you for stopping by my channel. I'm Divina, and today is going to be a topic of discussion. Well, this particular video is anyway. Something that's long overdue. Right, so I forgot what I was going to say. Doesn't matter. Today the topic of discussion is going to be boys/men and their mothers. Mamas boys. Alright? The boys and their mums. This is the topic of discussion for today, people. Mother issues. It is a big thing, okay? So today, it's not going to be change the energies, flip the genders, none of that. I'm not doing that. Not in this video anyway. Right? We need to get right into it today, because I've even put some negative energy music in the background because I don't want to get distracted. So, right. Men and low self-esteem born from their mother issues. Okay? Society is quite happy to talk about women and their daddy issues and their mother issues and all the rest of it. Oh, if a girl's running around in low vibrational energy because of her parent issues, that's because of this, and it's accepted. So if a girl's running around fast and loose, oh, she's got daddy issues. But when a boy's running around fast and loose, or a male, is running around fast and loose, everyone pats him on the back. He's just sowing his royal oats. Well, not so much royal, but you know what I'm saying. Just another notch on the bedpost. Why is that okay? Why is it not looked at in the same way? Wounded inner children. This is what we're dealing with. Men and women, boys and girls alike, right, have got family issues that need to be healed. Even the card says on here, your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. Newsflash. This is how narcissists are born. This is where those deep-rooted codependency issues come from. Addicts, people that have issues being alone, so on and so forth, etc., etc., etc. However, society generally tends to overlook the fact that a lot of men running around in their community service energy. Hi, Stephanie! They're running around in their community service energy because they've got issues with their mother. Maybe they were neglected by their mother. Maybe they watched their mother being overly sexual to get attention, so they think that's how they should treat women. Maybe they listened to their mother talking about men like they were trash. Men are only good for the two things, money and sex. So that's how they're programmed to think. Wow, this side of the brain, isn't it? This is how they're programmed. Does anybody ever actually stop to think about these things? No. Because when a man's running around fast and loose, it's socially acceptable. Society deems that as okay. Nobody wants to get in there and start looking at the deeper aspects of these things, right? So, what did their mother think of men or say about men? That's going to shape how they view women, how they treat women, how they expect women to treat them. How about this? How about they grew up watching their mother run around after men and neglecting them? Some women do that. They run around after a man, neglecting their kids. The man comes first at all costs above anything else. So that boy grows up and thinks, well, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, you don't love me. But then remember, this is my narcissist alert card. This is what they become. They try to control the woman that they're with because they didn't get any love and affection from their own mother. Because she was too busy giving her time, love and affection to a man who probably treats her. You're gonna hear a lot of clinks. Because I'll be honest with you guys, this is a subject that gets right under my skin. Woman running around after a man, because don't forget, our parents set our templates. They're there with the templates, right? So we either work towards being like them or we work away from being like them. But we also learn how to treat the opposite sex, or how not to treat the opposite sex based on what we've seen growing up. Huh? So if a little boy grows up watching his mother being treated like shit by a man, and the mother ignores her children, i.e. the son, and decides to run up his ass all the time, the child, the boy, grows up and thinks it's okay to treat women like shit. They'll love you anyway. That's how that happens. The one person in this world, because you can't even say it about fathers. Yes, they should love you unconditionally, but again, men are programmed differently. And we're going to get into it, right? A boy grows up watching his mother be treated like shit by a man. So in his head, right, so my mother neglected me, but if I treat this woman here like shit, but it gets under my skin. This is something that's been coming up so much just recently. Heal the family issues, childhood wounds. Hi, Sophia. Right? Here's the thing, right? This is why, and right, I'm a woman, so this is a subject we need to be talking about as women, right? It gets neglected, and it should not be neglected, right? Everyone's out here chucking the term narcissist around. Let's just keep it real, yeah? A lot of these men that women are dealing with these days have narcissistic tendencies, right? They're not all top tier narcissists, you know, running around with a multiple amount of demons up in them, you know, even though it is the spirit of the devil. Anyway, most of them have those tendencies because that's what they've watched growing up. Right? So, they think, because this is how they're programmed, right? If they treat a woman like shit, that woman will love them unconditionally. Because no matter how badly their mother was treated, they ran up that man's backside, doing this, doing that. So, you come across somebody with those tendencies, or that's been programmed that way, and you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. You don't love them. The emotional manipulation starts. But you see, they come in many different forms. You've got to think about this, right? How was their mother treated by men in front of the child? How were they treated by the men that were in their mother's lives? Because, I mean, and some of them would have been in with their own father, right? Because you know, in marriages, as well as like, you know, single parent homes, all the rest of it, you know, it's got to come from, well, not, it hasn't got to come from the mother, but this is what we're discussing right now, right? Okay, how a boy views women and how they should be treated, right? And how women treat men is going to come, and what their perception of how women should treat men is going to come from their mother. Mm? The one person that should love you unconditionally is your mother. So if they've grown up in an environment where their mother neglected them in favour of looking after a man, hi Melissa, that didn't treat them very well, they're going to think that treating a woman badly is going to get them the love and affection that they didn't get from their mum, right? So you've got to take that into account. This is something, hey darling, inbox me, yeah, sweetheart. This is something that we're doing inboxing when I've done this update. One of the things that people don't do when they start dating is question the relationship that somebody had with their mother. Like, everybody's like, oh yeah, want to find out about the ex. Well, men lie, talk nonsense, yeah? What's the relationship like with their mother? That will tell you a lot. And let's not forget as well, there's going to be cases of, because this is something that does keep coming up as well, cases of boys being abused by their mothers, either mentally, emotionally, physically, like being beaten, and in some very unfortunate cases, sexually. Or they would be abused by their father or their mother's partner, and the mother stepped back and allowed it to happen. So there was no protection in that household, right? So you've got to take into account all those things that happened to that boy when they was a child, how they view women. The mother is supposed to protect you, right? So if a boy's grown up with a mother that didn't care, a mother that didn't seem to care, a mother that was constantly on his case, constantly ignoring, physically, mentally, emotionally, or even sexually abusing them, this is how their view of women is going to be shaped, right? Now, you've got a lot of you've got a lot of men running around with narcissistic tendencies. Push, 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 one more test. Where do you think that kind of energy comes from? Where? Because think about it. Does it make sense? Why would a man continuously, because somebody with narcissistic tendencies, one of their biggest fears is being left all alone. So at some point in that man's life, he's been abandoned, or at least made to feel abandoned or neglected and alone and empty. So why would they continuously push, push, push? One more test. Why do they keep doing it to women? They don't do it to their male friends. They just do it to their female partners. Push, push, push. One more test. If you love me. That's one of their favourite taglines as well. If you love me, you do it. You've always continuously got to prove how much you love them. Why? Because their mother didn't show them that. Or because the thing is, you've got to take into account there's many varying different displays of narcissistic tendencies. A lot of them, it would have been neglect in favour of somebody else, in favour of another child, a sibling or a partner, so on and so forth. Others, their mother would have been suffocating. Can't cut the apron strings. The mother's always up their backside. What you doing? Who you doing it with? Who's that person? They're not good enough for you. I'll tell you what as well, this is one of the things, that does actually get me, and this is something else that gets overlooked as well, especially like say like in a single parent family situation, right? Some women, twisted women, use their sons as like substitute husbands. You're the man of the house now. It's a child. Let them be a child. Let them grow up. You've got to take care of me. Then nobody's ever good enough for their little boy. Never live up to their mother's standards. Huh? Oh, if you go off, she's not good enough for you. If you go off with her, who's going to look after me? Look after yourself. I can't. You see, I just, there's so many different dynamics that play out that people don't take into account. And here's the thing. Instead of trying to dig in and figure out where the root of the problem comes from, right? So you can start to heal those mother issues, heal them. Boys or men will get ridiculed. Ah, you're a mama's boy. Well, why are they a mama's boy? What did their mother do to them? Why did their mother do it? Because the substitute spouse is a big thing that people don't even really take into account. Because that's very common. Oh, you'll look after me, won't you? I mean, I say it to myself, but not like that. We joke, we have banter. My son's naturally protective of me because I'm his mother and I love him and I look after him. And I encourage him to grow and be independent, to look after himself, to make his own decisions, to do what makes him happy, to do what he feels is best for him, not what's going to make me happy, because it's not my life that he's living. You know, it's what you're supposed to do with all your children, not just your sons. But the thing is, this is the thing. So anybody that's watching this that has a son, I sincerely hope that you encourage your son to be independent, think for themselves, and to treat women with respect, common courtesy and decency, especially if you haven't been treated that way by men, or you weren't treated that way by your father, or your father didn't treat your mother that way. Because the thing is, you're responsible for the men of the future. You are. So how you raise your son, how you encourage your son to think, don't forget, you're literally shaping a man for a woman in the future. Or a man, another man, whatever, take it as it resonates. Neither here nor there. It's like, I brought this up the other day. I watched somebody telling their son off for not picking up behind themselves while picking up their mess. But in the same breath telling their daughter to pick her stuff up. You don't put stuff back. What? Put the stuff back and make him pick it up himself. Because you're making a problem for a woman in the future. Thinking that they can do what they like, leave their mess lying around, and it's all right because females will clean it up behind them. Females are not born and put here on this earth to be men's skivvies. We weren't. In fact, if you go looking in some other cultures, women are revered. Some societies are matriarchal societies. Imagine that. We're literally walking portals. We grow human lives within us, and then we birth them and bring them into this realm. And yet, we live in a society that actively encourages, go and listen to the music, go and watch some of these music videos, encourages men to treat women like second-class citizens, like we don't matter, like we're nothing. As big as my son is, if I ever caught him disrespecting a female, we would get into it, because you don't do that. And as much of a dick as his father can be, he would never allow him to disrespect me. Because it's not what you do. You don't disrespect your mother. However, there are some mothers that haven't taught their sons how to treat women because they're too busy running up the backside of a man that doesn't treat them well. So they're programming their son to treat women like shit. So, it's been getting on my nerves for a little while now, and I'm tired of it. These things keep coming up, and nobody wants to address it. Oh, look at him running around, constantly got his penis out, playground seesaw. But nobody wants to hold him to account. Why are we not questioning these men? Why do you feel the need to be sharing your sexual energy with everything that smiles at you? Why? Because that's another thing as well. Some of these men grow up believing that that's all they're good for. Sex and money. Because that's what they've watched their mother chase men down for. So, as a woman watching this, I'm going to encourage you to conversate with the next person you date and talk to them about their mother. How do they speak about her? What was their childhood like? And if you're in your high priestess energy, you'll know whether they're lying or not. Hello, darling. Yeah? So, you know, these are things that you need to know. And if you don't go digging, then don't wonder why you're getting treated badly later on down the line. Like I keep saying, people with narcissistic tendencies and behaviours aren't born. They're not. They're made. And when it comes to men, it's through their mother. The way a man treats a woman is based on his relationship with his mother. It is. And I can hear a lot of, I don't do that to my son. You did. You did. What was you doing while your child was growing up? Was you paying attention to her? Was you being narcissistically abused by a man in front of your child? Did you have a stream of men running in and out of your house, in and out of your bed for your children to see? Did you? Yes, I quite openly admit I've been in my community service days, but go and ask my children how many men they've seen me with. Ask. I keep my business to myself. My children don't need to know what I get up to because it's none of their business. Neither of my children have got a relationship template set by me. They haven't watched me be treated like crap by some man. They haven't watched me fighting and arguing with some man. Putting up with this nonsense and that nonsense because I don't want to be on my own. My daughter barely remembers me being with my son's dad. My son don't remember me being with his dad at all. So I didn't set them relationship templates. Hi, Sam. Right? So we have to think about these things and where these behaviours come from. Now, if you come across a man that's had a bad relationship with his mum, ask him, is he prepared to work on it? Or at the very least, is he prepared to work on the childhood wounds that have come from that? Because you don't need to work on your childhood wounds, you need to come to terms with what they are, first of all, and how to work your way through them. It's not that easy, but everybody's wounds are different, right? Like, abandonment issues are not going to come from the same thing. Like, or neglect, right? Okay, here's a good one. Neglect, yeah? So you could be neglected. So boys could be neglected because their mum's pouring into their partner, right? Same with girls with their dads, right? But we're not talking about that right now, yeah? So, not necessarily, okay, so, right, let's just take that one off the table. Boys could feel neglected because their mum's always out at work. And then when they come home, they're running around, they're doing this, they do the housework, blah, blah, blah. And then they get them off into bed and then they relax in the evening, right? So I'm going to flip the roles, right? So their partner isn't neglected, or the husband or the partner, whatever, isn't neglected because the kids are in bed. Once they've come home from work, the housework's done, dinner's cooked, kids are bath, bed, blah, blah, blah. They know come 9 o'clock, that's their husband's time, right? So they make sure their husband's taken care of and whatever. But it's not intentional neglect, right? They're trying to make sure they nurture their relationship, their marriage, whatever. And in their head, because most of us do it, I used to do it when the kids were little, go to work, come home, cook the dinner, do the housework, get them bathed, get them to bed, and then after a certain time at night, until the relationship problem break down, that's besides the point, then that was the time I spent with my partner, right? But you get on with it thinking, that's what I'm supposed to do, that's my job, We live in a society now where both parents have to work, because you have to go out to work to pay the bills and keep the roof over your head. I mean, for crying out loud, most of the people outside food banks these days are people that work, right? Anyway, so just take that as an example, yeah? So a little boy is going to assume that his mum hasn't got time for him, being neglected, right? But it's not intentional neglect. Do you see what I mean? It comes in many varying different forms. I'm not going to sit here and go into it all because there's a lot. But it is a reason it is a reason as to why men treat women the way that they do, right? It will all stem from the relationship that they have with their mother, right? Now, if they're aware of these things, that's half the battle, because at the very least they are willing to, they're consciously aware of it, and then they'll be able to start working on it and realize, because there's a thing when it comes to neglect, abandonment, unless it's like physical, sexual and mental abuse. Don't forget, there's generational curses out there. That's mostly for the YouTubers. Like, anybody that's catching me here on Facebook, there's going to be a different kind of audience, right? Not saying that you don't know about generational curses and stuff like that. But anyway. So, if it's... because that is personal, right? That kind of abuse. But, like, neglect or abandonment, those sorts of things, the general bog standard sorts of things, those issues, right? Once you do the work, right? Hi, Anthony. Once you do the work, you realise and you come to the conclusion that, right, that isn't a personal thing. The parents are going to do what they see, so they're doing what they've been trained to do as parents, right? So neglect, abandonment, they're all different issues, and a lot of the time it's based on choices that they've made out of fear for whatever reason, right? It goes deep, really deep. But when it comes to different kinds of abuses, yes, that is a personal thing, and quite frankly, I wouldn't blame anybody for, healing and forgiving from a distance, because it is what it is, right? But it is a serious issue that needs to be addressed, and it shouldn't keep getting shoved under the rug, because that's a big part of the problem. Like, nobody seems to address the reasons why men go and act out in certain ways, right? Because a lot of the reason, especially like with cheaters and stuff like that, right? A lot of the reason why they go out and they're non-committal is because they never saw anything like that in the home. or they felt like they needed to have a number of people around them to make them feel safe so that they wouldn't be abandoned. Because don't forget, your mother is the person that should love you unconditionally no matter what. So you could have a man. So again, learn their love language. Why is that their love language? Again, it comes from childhood. And like I said, physical touch would be hugs and kisses, not sex. Anyway, because that is not how any child is shown love. It isn't. Anyway, I'm going to move swiftly on because I'm filming on Facebook as well. Okay, so now we've got most of that out of the way. It is something that you need to be aware of, because the thing is, when you as a woman are on the receiving end of this behaviour, you take it personal. But you have to remember, that's how the man you're dealing with has been programmed by their mother. Some of the worst ones out there, and it's quite common, is the, you're not good enough for my son. Oh, do you know what? I don't get that. Don't get me wrong, there are some feminine energies out there that need to go and do some serious healing before they try and entertain a relationship with somebody. But it's anybody. Nobody's good enough for their son. I mean, look at did anybody ever watch Bates Motel? See, Bates Motel, right? The up-to-date version, not the TV show, not the film. Well, I don't think they did a film. Anyway, right? Her relationship with Norman was messed up. Messed up. His relationship with his mother, he was fixated on her. I didn't watch it all, but he was fixated on her. Right? In a very unhealthy way. Right? But with her, no one was good enough for her son. No one was going to be good enough for her son. Now, think about that for a minute. If a woman is systematically scrapping off anybody that her son goes near, or tries to actually connect with, she's literally setting him up to be alone for the rest of his life. Why would you want your child to be alone for the rest of their life? You look after mum. You look after me. I don't get it. Why would you not want your child to be in a healthy, happy relationship with somebody else? Somebody that's going to love them unconditionally. Those women that tell, well, you're the man of the house now. Hi, Jess. You're the man of the house now. You look after him. What are you doing? Doing? Why are you forcing a child to grow up to be the man of the house and to look after you? It's not his job. It's not. It's his job to be a boy. It's his job to learn about the world, and it's your job to love them unconditionally and show them how to be independent, how to look after themselves. And then if you're lucky and you've done your job right as a mother, your son will try to make sure that you are okay in your older years, but not stuck up your backside like a shit crumb. I don't get it. So, if you've got a son, I mean, I'm lucky. I've got two. I've got the son that I gave birth to, and I've got a work son. Right? Not everybody's so lucky, you know. So I must be doing something right. God, you know, boys out there that call me mum and look at me as a maternal figure. Come to me for advice. Ask for help. Listen to me when I give them advice. And they actually take it on. My work son, he made me so proud the other day. He hasn't got mother issues, not that I'm aware of. He doesn't seem to have anyway, but he does have anger issues anyway. But anyway, so I talked to him about it, tried to make him think about things in a different way, and he went to start his silliness, like, because he gets road rage. It's amazing how many passengers get road rage these days. Anyway, he went to start his nonsense, and he stopped. He was like, "What am I doing, man? This is not worth it." It's working. So yeah, it's help nurture them. And sometimes, you know, you have to work a little bit harder. You don't. Some women out there actually go out of their way to make their sons codependent. With emotional abuse. See, that's even worse because you can't see. Well, I can see that fish. That comes under the manipulation, doesn't it? I mean, I'll be honest with you, emotional manipulation really just don't work for me. So when I see it, it gets right under my skin. Oh no, but this, oh no, but that. Anyway, we're all out here trying to do this, trying to heal this part of ourselves, right? By healing these family issues. Got to go within, you've got to go deep. But you've also, this is the thing, right? I'm not telling anybody to tolerate somebody that perpetrates narcissistic behaviours upon them, like manipulation, emotional, mental, spiritual, any of that. Certainly not physical abuse. You scrap that one off, wrap it up, right? Right? But there's a reason why people do these things, why men do these things. So you need to dig in and figure out what that reason is. I'm not saying that you should allow it or give them a pass, because no, they're still making a conscious choice to behave that way. However, they need to work on that. Now, either they accept the help that you offer them, or they go off and they perpetrate it upon somebody else. Either way, it's something that needs to be addressed. And it's something that needs to be addressed in our society in a big way. It is. So now I've got my little rant out of the way. I got a new deck today. I did. It's called the Dark Mirror deck. So now we're going to get into it. Because I was going to do 2 separate videos, but I didn't know how long I was going to be going on about this sort of stuff. But I hope I've covered enough for you guys to I hope I've covered enough for you guys to at least go and contemplate what I've brought up. Because yes, there's going to be a lot more other scenarios. I don't want to get into like the different levels of abuse. Hey Billy, I don't want to get into the different levels of abuse and stuff like that, especially because I'm filming here for Facebook. I mean, I might do a different dark corner on Facebook, YouTube for that. But the thing is, no, it makes me uncomfortable. I did this video back in February. I got dragged out of my flipping bed at like gone 3 o'clock in the morning to come and record about. I should have reposted it actually. This is back in February. But I did. I got right into it. We went right to Karmaville with the Kipper deck, right? And it came out that the mother knew that she was going to have a child. look, I just split. You watched me do it. You just watched me split the deck. That's a wrap. She knew she was going to have a child, and she either abused him herself, and it was a boy. There was no two ways about it. It was a boy. She either abused him herself, or she allowed him to be abused by somebody. Because as we got into it, the child's house was robbed. Yeah? That was a little while ago. I'll try to stay away from things like that because it makes me uncomfortable. But it's stuff that needs to come up and out. It keeps coming up. I'll keep trying to veer away from it, but people boys and girls alike get sexually abused. It is a commonly known fact, right? But here's the thing, it's none of it socially acceptable, none of it is. It isn't, right? But here's the thing. Boys get sexually abused by their mothers the same way girls get sexually abused by their fathers. Sweep that under the rug, we don't talk about that. Why not? Why are these women not held to account the same way a man would be? Again, it comes back to using the son as a substitute for the husband. You'll look after me, won't you? You're the man of the house. Do you know, I've actually, I don't know, I wasn't going to get into it, but here we are. So I've actually seen two films, one film and a TV show where this kind of stuff was shown to me, right? Not actually something that, anyway, one film, I can't remember what it was called, Clone or something like that, I think, but it had that Cersei from Game of Thrones, Nina Headley or something like that. I can't remember what her name is, but anybody who knows Game of Thrones, who played Cersei, go and look up the films that she done, and the who was in the film with her? One of the Doctor Who's, I think his name, I can't remember, and I'm using both my phones to record. It's not funny, I'm not laughing, it's not subject to laugh, but anyway. And she lost her husband, so she went to this cloning place. She'd had his DNA. She loved her husband, he was her be all end all, right? And she went and got an embryo made with his DNA. So basically she gave birth to a clone, because there's different ways to generate clones, and one of the ways is to give birth to them. So what she did was she got the DNA embryo, got pregnant, but she moved away from where she lived so that people wouldn't recognize him, because he was literally a clone of her husband. She was just constantly devastated, right? Because she missed her husband, and she had the clone. As he got older and got a girlfriend, I can't remember how old he was, late teens, early 20s, something like that. He got a girlfriend. She got jealous, because don't forget, yes, she gave birth to this person, but this person, her son, because that was her egg. It's a clone. I don't know how they make clones, but anyway, that was her husband, clone of her husband. But she gave birth to him. I mean, come on, we give birth to, plenty of women give birth to children that look exactly like someone from their family. It's very common. But to look at a child that you've given birth to and be sexually... And the unthinkable happened. It made me feel sick, I'll be honest with you. And he left. After that happened, he left her, and I don't think he spoke to her again. I think he just left. But it was like messed up, because the thing is, you just knew it was coming. Thing is, this is something that gets swept under the rug. It's the same thing like the stupid jokes about Catholic priests. That's not funny. Why is it a joke that somebody or anybody thinks that they should be laughing at? Quiet. It's not funny. And then you've got, what did I say? Oh, Broadwalk Empire. If anybody ever watched it. It had, what's his name? I can't remember his name. He's got the big eyes. Oh, I'll put it in the comments or something. Broadwalk Empire. There was a character in it, and his father took his mother when she was like, I think 12 or 13, and made her his mistress, got her pregnant at like the age of like almost immediately. So she had this baby, her son, and she practically, I mean, come on, I mean, for crying out loud, you know, my first boyfriend, he was like the youngest of 10 children. His niece was like a couple of years, about 3 years younger than him, right? So that's how much of an age difference there was in him and his oldest sister, right? So to be 12 years old and giving birth to a child, and there being like a 12, 13-year age gap, it's not really, you know, that big, not in the terms of having a child, whatever, anyway, right? So she grew up with her own son. Again, got jealous of him when he got into relationships. And then when he left, I think he left home, I don't know what he left home for, go work or something like that. She'd been on him from when he was like young, yeah? And she sort of forced herself on him. Really disgusting, actually. She would actually, the way she behaved around, anyway, so yeah, that happened, and then he tried to keep his distance from her, but then when he got married and he had a child, a little boy, he really didn't like his son being around her. Didn't. Because he didn't trust her around his son. Because she was a predator. That's why. Anyway, so it's not something that you see commonly. You shouldn't be seeing it at all. But these things do happen. The same way that sort of thing, that sort of abuse shapes a woman, it's the same way that sort of abuse will shape a man. Like, and again, it's stuff that gets thief. It's theft of innocence. The same way as theft of innocence of a girl is the same way as theft of innocence of a boy. Right? Anyway, I really didn't want to get into it like that, but here we are. Right. So I'm going to put those cards away. Because I don't want to be going on about that anymore, because it's really getting under my skin. So, let me just take a sip of my mocha. Wait, I don't sharpen, I don't get into trouble for that. I'm going to change the subject. That's why I picked up my book again. Right. Guys. I've had this song playing in my head, right, so we're just going to get past that. Right, we're going to change the subject, so I'm going to get my cards out. Oh, no, actually, let's get these out after. Let me just get to see. I was too blind to see what was right in front of me. I want to just get out of that energy because it's too much. Like 49 minutes and we're still in it. Let's. I know you need time. I'll wait. Please. Please hear me out. I keep telling you guys, your person wants to talk to you. And your person has mother issues. That's for you, feminine. No, I'm sick of flip-flopping this, that, and the third. That's for you women dealing with a man that has narcissistic behavioural tendencies. It is. They've got mother issues. I want you to hear them out. I can't stop thinking about you. Now, I don't know whether I should just cut this off and then start a whole nother stream. What do you reckon? I think I should, because I don't want to get this all mixed up, because I've got some tea for y'all. But we're doing, I'll tell you what we're doing. I'm going to start another stream, because I needed to get that out of the way, and I don't want to mix this up, because I've got to speak to you. I speak to you guys about what's been going on in the collective, and how to know if your counterpart is your counterpart, if you've just been dealing with a karmic energy, or what, yeah, because we got to get into it. Right, so it's gone 11 o'clock, it's 51 minutes in, I've done my, I don't want to call it rambling, but I've done my bit about mother issues. Right, I'm going to end this, and then I'm going to come right back, and we're going to get into it. I don't even know what to call it. Oh, I know what to call it. Right, I'll be back in a minute, guys. So, thank you for watching. If you liked the content and you enjoyed my video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you so wish to do so. And until next time, stay divine.